Skyblock is one of Minecraft's oldest challenges, a single island surrounded by void with limited resources that you must use to survive. Skyblock has seen many iterations over the years, and today we are going to spend 100 days in Dr. Trog's Skyblock Infinite. In this version of Skyblock, we have extra islands as well as vanilla structures within the void, which is based on the seed of the world. Here we are beginning on a jungle island, and we have 3 goals. To make farms that give us valuable items that are not common in Skyblock, to beat the game by defeating the Ender Dragon, and to make a build that will house all of our achievements within these 100 days of Skyblock. This is also that we can get ready for Season 2 of Skyblock Kingdoms, the Skyblock SMP that I am part of. And without any further ado, let us begin our Skyblock journey. To start the Skyblock journey, I gathered the cocoa beans and melons by the tree, which will be useful as both a food source and a source of bone meal, which will be crucial. I then put together a cobblestone generator, which if you didn't know how to make one, you dig out 4 blocks in a line, digging one lower next to where the water source will be, then placing the water, and then the lava. Bam! No more turning your lava into obsidian. I then gathered 4 jungle wood, leaving a couple to stop the leaves from decaying. We don't want any jungle saplings to fall into the void, especially since jungle saplings have a lower spawn rate. I then made my first wooden pickaxe, which I used to get 3 cobble to retire immediately, making a stone pickaxe. But don't worry, that wooden pickaxe will be important for later. I then collected more cobblestone, using it to make slabs to expand the platform, also making a shovel and axe. I then took down the rest of the tree, also tearing down the leaves, getting 3 saplings, which is really good for a jungle tree. I then planted a 2x2 tree using the jungle saplings in the starting chest, thank you Trog, then continued expanding the platform. I then grabbed some more cobblestone to bridge to the birch island to the east, creating a platform to catch falling saplings. I then realized I need food, so I planted some melon seeds that will hopefully grow sooner rather than later. It then started raining on the first day. Not really helping the vibe here, but the work must continue, so I chopped down the birch tree and gathered the dirt from the island. Dirt in the early game is a rare commodity in Skyblock, so getting extra is a big luxury for us. I then collected some more cobblestone, using it to pillar down, creating a lower platform. I then finished the first day gathering the dirt below the main platform. On the morning of day 2, I finished gathering the rest of the dirt below, using it to expand the dirt on the main platform. I then took down the big jungle tree, gathering a lot of wood and a good amount of saplings. I used some of the wood from the tree to convert into charcoal, useful as fuel as well as torches. One of the things I will need soon is bone meal, so I made a composter and planted the cocoa beans, which will be used in the composter. I then used some of the jungle wood to make slabs as a sort of trim for the platform on our main base of operations here. I then gathered some more cobblestone so that I could expand the area where the birch island was into a platform to plant and chop down trees. Some of the cocoa beans fully grew, so I harvested them and replanted, using the profits in the composter. As the sun rose before day 3, I chopped down the recently grown jungle tree. I finished chopping down the tree on the dawn of day 3, gathering the saplings and planting the next tree on the new tree platform. I then threw more cocoa beans in the composter, collected more cobblestone, threw even more cocoa beans in the composter, then expanded the lower platform. Lots of repetitive tasks here. Might as well use a single word for them to keep it brief. Compost! Oh, there's bone meal. I used the bone meal to grow the melon stem as I am in desperate need for a food source. I then finished the lower platform with the jungle slab trim, planting a glowberry right next to the water elevator. I then created a little ceiling at the cobblestone generator to prevent those pesky sky rats from attacking my beautiful red hair. Gobble! Yay, a food source! Not the best, but better than nothing. Day 4, I chopped down the fresh trees on the tree platform. Compost! I got myself another bone meal and used it to make an infinite water source. How, you ask? To which I say, how did you get in my house? Just kidding. To make it, you make a T-shaped container and at the one white spot, place a block up, then put the water source down. Then, bone meal. The seaweed will turn the flowing water into new source blocks. And bam, an infinite water source. I put the infinite water source on the lower platform, then created a new cobblestone generator, dismantling the original cobblestone generator that got us through these first 4 days. I then centered the water stream leading down to the lower platform, and after that, I got some more melons. Then, cobble! Now with a brand spanking new generator. I finally refilled my hunger bar on day 5 with some melons. Compost! Got myself another bone meal, planted some more melon seeds, then used the bone meal on the grass to get some seeds, and got none. I then noticed the water stream had flowing water, which isn't a big deal, but it bugs me, so I fixed it. I then started work on a north platform, which will be home to the mob farm. Mob farms will be good for loot such as bones, arrows, and gunpowder, as well as XP. I created the platform the mobs will land on, then created a slab pillar of alternating jungle slabs and cobble slabs, building up 23 blocks where the mobs will fall from and get down to half a heart. This will make the farm a one-hit kill. Cobble! day 6, I compost for another bone meal, using it on the grass, and finally got myself some seeds. I planted the seeds and continued to work on the mob farm for the rest of the day. And since I'm a dummy dumb who forgot to unpause the OBS recording, here is a flashback montage. As the sun rose on day 7, I gathered the torches from the mob farm to activate it. I then realized I had no water, and although this isn't hardcore, I would prefer not to die and lose anything, so I prayed to the Minecraft gods and made a leap of faith. That made my heart rate high for the rest of the day. I then created my first stone sword to get that sweeping damage, then gathered some wood to make storage for the farm. Finally, I whacked out some mobs. Chop! Did that scare you? Leave a like and sub if it did. If it didn't, do that anyway if you're enjoying the video so far. Man, that was a big tree. Almost ashamed to chop it down. As the night fell, I ran the mob farm. What should I say for the mob farm? Kill! Not too aggressive. Mobs! Nah, not a good one either. Wait. I got it. Whack. There we go. I like that. I started getting some string, which would be useful to make a bed. I got enough to make 1 wool. And what's that? It's a zombie villager. I blocked off the killing platform and killed the other mobs inside, being careful not to hit the zombie villager. I then created a temporary platform to the side of the north platform to house the zombie villager. It was then that a skeleton saw me because of the gaps in the killing tube and shot a creeper, which immediately blew up, killing the zombie villager and making a mess of the killing platform. Luckily, no mob came down to mess with me as I patched up the killing chamber. On day 8, I got a chicken jockey. I blocked off the killing platform, killed the remaining mobs, and created a little chicken pen on the main platform, leading the chicken to keep safe. Whack! Got myself another wool, 1 more and I have a bed. I then finished the zombie villager holding platform, setting it up so that I could easily lead the zombie villager into a boat. Whack! Got enough wool to make a bed. I made one, then placed it on the lower platform, and as night fell, slept for the first time. Waking up on day 9, I thought to myself, take that, phantoms. I then made a fishing rod, not to get fish, but for another purpose that will be clear soon. Ooh, a carrot. I used some bones from the mob farm to bone meal the carrots to be able to produce a lot more. I finally got a zombie villager in the mob farm again. Block, kill, extract. That was a lot easier. What? Ooh, iron. And oh yes, a potato! I immediately used some bone meal to produce a bunch of potatoes and put some into a furnace to make baked potatoes, which is a much better food source than melons. Sorry, Leon. As night fell, I took advantage of my new bed to skip the night once again. Day 10, 10% of the way there. We got ourselves another zombie villager. Block, kill, extract. I then used the fishing rod to move the 2 zombie villagers to the side. It worked to a point, then... and if that couldn't get any worse, I guess I should be glad this isn't hardcore. I had to make another fishing rod to move the zombie villager away from my items, luckily not losing anything too important. Whack! Cobble! Sleep! Whack! Cobble. Day 11, we bridged out to the Lush Island, Dark Oak Island, and the abandoned nether portal east of the base. But we ran out of cobble, so... cobble. Until my pickaxe broke, then slept to skip the night. Waking up to day 12, I continued bridging towards the new islands. I first hit up the nether portal, water bucketing down, getting some gold pants, and some flint, which will be essential for a later stage of progression. I then bridged to the Dark Oak Island, creating a platform for the saplings, which didn't spawn. Oh no. Oh no, we only have a few left. Yep, it's not gonna happen. Oh no. Oh well, I guess dark oak because it's not going to be part of our build palette. No dark oak is actually pretty sad. I did want to use it for building, so not getting it is a pretty huge loss. However, I did get 2 apples, which will be incredibly helpful for the next stage of progression. Somewhat still in defeat, I headed back home. Gobble. I then discovered that our chicken died? How did that happen? To decompress from another devastating loss, whack. Day 13, I chopped down some trees, then got another zombie villager. Block, kill. Oh, I killed it. Dang. Whack, whack, whack. Hey, look at that. I have enough iron from zombies to make an iron pickaxe. That will be useful in just a bit. Whack. Day 14, and yes, another zombie villager. Block, kill, extract. This time I moved the zombie villagers a bit more carefully. I then took my fresh iron pickaxe to the abandoned nether portal and gathered the gold blocks, using them to make 2 golden apples. Whack. I'm hoping for a witch here. I need their weakness potions for the final piece of the puzzle in having villagers. And there one is. Block, kill, extract. Moving a witch is very difficult because they'd rather sit back and throw their poison and harming potions on you. Still, no biggie because we got her in the boat. Well, that didn't go as planned. I didn't expect the first potion for the witch to throw would be a freaking poison potion. You kidding me? Another poison potion? Okay, I'm a bit dumb. I spent the entirety of these 5 days trying to get this witch to throw a single weakness potion, not realizing I had to let her throw the poison potion first, then hope for a weakness, which is a 25% chance. So instead of making you sit through my failure, I bring you to day 20, where I finally got it to hit. Come on. One zombie villager. Dang it. Unfortunately, as much as I want to keep the other one, I did kill it because even if I could keep its attention on me the whole time, the witch's damage potion could kill the villager. So I elected to get another zombie villager instead. Plus, that guy had an iron sword and killed me, so he deserved it anyways. Day 21, whack. Waiting for another zombie villager. As that was happening, the first villager was finally converted, so I moved him to a safe space to make way for another zombie villager. And just as I say it, there's another one. Block, kill, extract. And this time I actually got a weakness potion much quicker, finally being able to convert 2 villagers to be able to make more villagers. I'm at the villager age now. Finally, we did it. This is all I've wanted. And using a villager breeder and an iron farm, I could very quickly get to the Iron Age in this playthrough. Gobble. I spent the rest of the day waiting for the villager to convert. Day 22, we finally got our second villager, which I immediately moved next to the other villager. I then decided the witch has successfully fulfilled her purpose and her services are no longer necessary. Gobble. My storage situation was a little less than desirable, so I made a proper storage system in the lower platform. Finally, and my back is relieved from all this cobble I was carrying. Chop! On day 23, I converted some logs into charcoal, also cooking up some potatoes. I then bridged out north to the cherry biome, but didn't have enough cobblestone, so you know what it is. Cobble. Once my pickaxe broke, I slept to skip the night. Waking up to day 24, I continued to bridge to the cherry island, still coming up short, so it's back to cobble. Then sleeping through the night. Day 25, and we're a quarter of the way there. And I made it to the cherry island. I made a platform, took down the tree, and gathered the dirt, and left with 8 saplings. Cherry trees are much better than jungle trees when it comes to saplings, I'll say. I headed back home and put away the cherry items. I then got another 3 iron from the mob farm, which I used to make another bucket, having an infinite water source in my pocket. Cobble. Sleep. Day 26, I spotted a baby zombie while trying to kill a creeper on top of the jungle tree on the tree platform. That baby zombie must have thought I was Filza because even on fire, he was determined to kill me. Luckily, the baby zombie was also dumb because he burned to death. I killed the creeper on the tree, then got enough wool for 3 beds, which will be used for the villager breeder, which I began construction on immediately. Although one of the cured villagers is a nitwit, luckily this farm only requires 1 farmer, and will use a trapdoor trap that has the beds on the other side that will lead the baby villagers into a collection chamber. The villager breeder was finally ready enough for villagers to be placed in on day 27. All I need to do is till the land and then boat the villagers into the farm area. An easy process. Once the villagers were in, I planted some carrots, then boxed the villagers in. I then built the collection chamber, which uses water to push all the villagers into one corner, which allows us to use boats and mine carts to take the villagers out really easily. On day 28, my inventory was getting cluttered again, so I organized the items into storage for a bit. Cobble. Waiting for the villagers to breed here. And what's that? Wandering trader? What do you got for me, Wandy T? Oh, that's not that great. And what the heck? Why is the llama in the collection chamber? No matter. Let's get that llama out. And what's that? First villager! Woo! Hey there! Let's go! And you... Oh no, Wandy T disappeared. How did that happen? Day 29, harvested some potatoes. Whack! I then removed the path of the villager breeder and took the first reproduced villager out of the collection chamber. Whack again! I then expanded and reorganized my storage system. After that, I took down the zombie villager holding platform, and as the sun rose, I expanded the villager collection chamber. Day 30, cobble. Quite literally all I did the whole day, like nothing else happened. On day 31, I woke up and ate a potato. If you're wondering why I'm pointing it out, I don't know, it was in my notes. Whack! Jeez, my neighbors are noisy. Should I file a noise complaint? I then chopped down some trees before getting another villager in the breeder. Then, cobble. Day 32, whack! I need enough string to make 5 beds for an iron farm, the next stage of our progression. Another villager is in the chamber. Whack again. I then bridged out towards the Acacia Island, and you know the drill. Platform, chop, destroy, wait. And I got a single sapling. If trees were my children, Acacia would be my least favorite child, and Cherry knows they're my favorite. To release my frustration over my least favorite child, I whacked at some mobs. I then realized I was holding on to my lost chicken and needed to let go, so I took down the chicken pen. On day 33, I expanded my potato farm and whacked at my noisy neighbors, getting up to 14 wool. Just need one more to make 5 bed. Oh wait, that was easy. I made the 5 beds, then bridged south leading to the future iron farm. It is time for iron on day 34. I began building the iron farm, a simple one. The link to the tutorial will be in the description. Basically, there is a chamber for 5 villagers with 5 beds, which is essential to the farm. On top is where the iron golem spawns. It's important that we keep this area as the only area within 7 blocks that a golem could spawn, otherwise it breaks the farm. The platform is surrounded by walls, and there is a water stream on one corner that pushes the golem to the opposite corner, where the golem will be burned by lava. Speaking of lava, I need some, and luckily there is convenient lava right near us at the abandoned nether portal. And with that, the farm is almost complete. I left the side of the villager chamber of the farm open so that we can put the villagers in. And luckily it is night, so if we release the villagers here, they should just walk right in, which is exactly what happened. But before I fully closed them in, I gave them some carrots to breed because I realized I was one short. I began day 35 by completing the path to the iron farm with our jungle slab trim. Cobble. Whack! The iron farm seemed to not be working, which made me a little worried. Maybe I just need to sleep through the night. Whack! Cobble. Iron golem! Day 36, I used the first iron to make a hopper to collect the iron into a chest. The farm seems to be working now, but not at night, which means I need to possibly make the villagers wake up at night from time to time. Day 37, and another iron golem spawned. After some research, it turns out that iron golems only spawn when villagers are either getting excited, scared, or just doing normal tasks. So this farm will only work during the day for sure. I added some more hoppers as some of the iron was getting stuck to the side. I tried working on a trapdoor system with a clock to add a zombie next to so the village can get scared at night, or at least during the day to accelerate iron production because the farm is slow even when it is working. Speaking of working, this clock is not. I'm gonna need an etho hopper clock, which requires comparators, which requires quartz. So I need to go to the nether. On day 38, I officially entered the Iron Age. I made myself a set of iron tools as well as a chest plate, helmet, and leggings. I'm keeping the gold boots since we are going to the nether, and if any piglins spawn, it would be nice to have one less enemy in that dimension. I then used some iron to make a hopper collection system for the cobble farm. Finally, no more losing the cobble to the lava. That was a pretty big problem for a while. Cobble. This time it's lossless. On day 39, I remembered that I also needed sticky pistons, which require slime. And using a nifty tool from MiniHUD, one of the mods I used to make my life not a nightmare, I discovered that the main platform was a slime chunk. I began to pillar down to make a slime spawning platform, but the universe was trying to say no and spawned a baby drowned on me. But I said, not today, universe, and knocked that baby off the ledge. I continued to build the platform before realizing that I built it a bit too high. I'm an idiot. Wait a minute. So I tore it down and rebuilt it at the correct Y level, which is below 40. With that platform done, it was time to rest. Day 40, I made a flint and steel. Taking the original 10 obsidian from the starting chest, I built the first nether portal of this world. But during that, a skeleton from the mob farm spotted me and started blasting. But a creeper's big head was in the way, so it killed that instead, getting me my first music disc. Getting a little distracted by the shiny new thing, I decided to add hoppers under the mob farm. Getting undistracted, I went into the nether and made a safe platform around the portal. The nether seems to have a nice variety of biomes, which is very helpful to us for specific materials. Day 41, and did you think we're entering the nether age? Wrong, it's time for the trials age. We're heading to a trial chamber, baby. I was actually planning to go already, but got somewhat distracted by the etho hopper clock thing. But before I went, I made another bed, then smelted some logs into charcoal for some torches to light the surface of the trial chamber. Then we bridged to it. And once there, I began lighting up the area because mobs spawn like crazy at night. And ooh, there's slime. That's gonna be useful. Almost didn't need the slime platform, but never mind that. Let's enter the trial chamber. Time for a montage. Wow, it's day 43. I really spent all of day 42 in the trial chamber. I took the amazing loot I got from the trial chamber, including quite a few emeralds back home. But before we went all the way back, I gathered some dripstone from the dripstone island. Spoiler alert, I do absolutely nothing with it. And I don't even make more lava with it. Why? I don't know. But enough of my failure. It's time to clear out this inventory. I did attempt to make a dripstone farm, but missed a crucial block for this farm, which is the dripstone block. But never mind that. It's nether time. The trials age was short-lived, but nonetheless, we are here in the nether age. And first order of business is a makeshift gold farm. I bridged out at least 24 blocks to where the spawning platform will be. This farm is relying on angry zombie piglins running to a killing chamber and getting whacked with my sword. Ah, dang, ran out of blocks. Time to head back and cobble. Day 44, construction continues. I finished up the spawning platform for the farm and the killing chamber. And there we go, our first gold farm. I spent a bit of time at this gold farm. What can we say for this? Gold. Good enough. Once I got a decent amount of gold, I headed back for more cobble, so we can make another platform to allow piglin to spawn to trade with. On day 45, we made the piglin platform. Very quickly getting a piglin to spawn. Just gotta kill these pesky zombie piglins. I caught the piglin in a boat and began trading. And there we go, immediately got 9 quartz. More than enough for what we need. Gold. Trading with the piglin, I got a nice variety of items, like soul sand and leather, which is very useful in Skyblock. It's time for an etho hopper clock on day 46, starting with some comparators, the last redstone item needed. Bam, it's already done. I got a zombie from the mob farm and... oh, he's already dead. I totally didn't forget that the farm takes him to half a heart or anything. Oh well, let's get another zombie. This time giving him a stairway down. I got him into a boat and put him into the farm. And... oh, they don't even see the zombie when sleeping. Great. Guess I'll fix that later. To clear my mind on day 47, I chopped down some trees. Always good for relieving stress. And as night fell, I checked to see if the farm would work. And as expected, that's a no. Cobble. I spent the entirety of both day 48 and day 49 bridging in the nether to find a fortress, regularly going back and forth to gather more cobble. However, I had no luck with the nether fortress. May need to change directions because straight east isn't working here. Halfway there, day 50. To start this day, I decided to take a break from bridging and begin the upgrades. I crafted up a smithing table and a blast furnace to get ourselves a toolsmith and an armor smith. I got out 2 villagers from the breeder and they very quickly went to their stations. I used the emeralds from the trial chamber to trade with the villagers, almost getting them up to master level. And with the armor smith at expert level, I got myself my first piece of diamond gear, a pair of boots. We are getting towards the diamond age soon. Day 51, the toolsmith is now a master and has a seat at the council. Take that, Anakin Skywalker. Whoa, that's a good enchant. What? To get some more emeralds, I grabbed 2 more villagers from the breeder to make farmers. I grew a bunch of potatoes so we can trade for more emeralds, getting myself some diamond pants. Halfway to full diamond armor. Gobble. I then went back into the nether to continue my quest for a nether fortress. We finally made it to the end of the path on day 52, and this time we're heading north because east was not working at all. And actually, that was a good call because we not only found a nether fortress, but also the last biome of the nether. I began changing my strategy for bridging as I do not want to be knocked off by a blaze or a skeleton. I lined up the bridge with the closest section of the fortress and uh-oh, the enemy has spotted us. There goes the element of surprise. To try and save my armor from falling into the void in case of an untimely death, I tried bridging without armor on day 53. Total failure. The blazes are simply too strong for my bare body to handle. Ah well, I needed more blocks anyways, so I headed back home. But before going back to the overworld, I figured I needed a way to get down, so I bridged to the Crimson Island for the vines, which I could use bone meal on for a way down to the nether fortress. Day 54 began by creating a platform below the Crimson Island. Once done, I spawn-proofed the Crimson Island to avoid any mob surprises. I needed some bone meal and shears to gather the vines, so I headed back to the overworld to grab both. Then it's back to the nether, where I used the bone meal on the vines until I had enough to use for the nether fortress. But before going back there, I decided to test out this vine tech by going to the abandoned nether portal nearby and got myself a mending gold helmet, 18 iron nuggets, and 4 obsidian. Not bad loot at all. With some good loot in the inventory, I headed back to the nether fortress, where the local population was not happy about my new bridge project, constantly throwing fireballs at me, which delayed my progress by quite a bit. Day 55 and I'm still bridging, still angering the local population, and still being set on fire constantly. However, we persisted and barely made it to the fortress, using the vine tech to make a mostly safe way down to the fortress. I'm gonna need to grab a new bow. I think we've made it, but I'm not gonna be able to do anything more if I can't live. But I need more materials to make it a much safer path down. So I went back home and cobble. On day 56, I took a break, upgrading the armor smith to master, unlocking a full set of diamond armor for trading. Got myself some more potatoes to trade for emeralds until night fell, which I skipped by sleeping. Day 57 and we were still trading with the farmers for emeralds until getting enough to trade with the armor smith for a diamond helmet, almost at full diamond armor. With me feeling almost I went back to the nether to start conquering the fortress. Once there, I had to hype myself up a bit before making my way down. Quickly attempted to make a safe bunker within the fortress to keep myself safe from the stray fireballs. I left a 1.5 block tall doorway to safely leave and enter the bunker and kill the blaze. But it was not easy to get that blaze rod as there was a lot of wither skeletons in the way. So I got rid of them and it was just there, ripe for the taking. So I took a deep breath and I got it. At the time I thought all I need is a cleric for Eyes of Ender, right? But I will soon find out that that's not the final step for the end age. With this naive confidence in this plan, I headed back home. Man, these trips take forever as it took the entire night of day 57 into day 58 to get back home. I made myself a brewing stand and a grindstone for a cleric and a weaponsmith, getting 2 more villagers out of the breeder. I used the rotten flesh gathered from the mob farm to trade with the cleric for emeralds, using those emeralds to get myself the final piece of diamond armor, a chest plate. I continued to trade through the day with the cleric and the smiths. Day 59 and I finally had enough of this slow iron farm, so I modified it so that at least during the day the villagers can actually see the zombie, which was very effective as the rate of iron golems went up dramatically. Still doesn't work at night. But with the day ended, I slept to skip the night. Day 60, we wake up to the great smell of rotting flesh. Starting the day by upgrading the weaponsmith to master with a decent diamond sword trade. With quite a few emeralds collected, I bought my first diamond pickaxe. Continuing to trade for more emeralds, I also got my first diamond sword. We are getting some quick upgrades. I started to realize how slow it is to get emeralds with iron trades from the smiths and the potato trades from the farmers, so I wanted to get some fletchers for stick trades. However, we needed more flint, so we headed to the nether to trade with the piglin for gravel. Oh, it looks like there's already some here. No need to trade. Quickly getting some, we went back to the overworld to convert some of the gravel into flint and made 2 fletching tables. We got 2 villagers, made them into our fletchers, immediately trading with them for some emeralds. I upgraded the cleric to near master, but not getting Eyes of Ender. Very concerned, I googled when clerics trade for Eyes of Ender and discovered that they haven't traded for eyes since 1.9, which was almost 10 years ago. They only trade for ender pearls, which isn't even a guaranteed trade, so I will need to go back to the nether fortress for blaze rods. On day 61, I decided to see if breaking the zombie in the iron farm out of the boat would improve rates. I did not mean to break the redstone. Ignoring the issue that decision will create later, I chopped down some trees, using the wood to make sticks to trade with the fletchers. Using those emeralds, I bought a diamond shovel, before finding out that the zombie in the iron farm had disappeared because it wasn't name tagged nor was it holding an item. As night fell, I got another zombie from the mob farm, but the universe was trying to stop me again as a wandering trader spawned behind me, with his llamas immediately killing the zombie. As revenge for the zombie, I killed the wandering trader and his llamas, quickly grabbing another zombie with an item and safely transporting it to the iron farm. I started day 62 with a chop, trading some sticks with the fletchers. I used those emeralds to get a really good axe from the weaponsmith. With that, I completed my diamond set of tools and armor, entering the diamond age. What are those leaves doing there? Oh, I see. Pesky branch. Cobble. Whack! Okay, I think it's time to really work towards the end game. I headed into the nether, starting by trading with the piglin for some pearls, and even though I immediately got 2 pearls, it was just too slow for me. So I went back to the overworld and formulated a plan to get the ender pearls much faster. Day 63, and oh, the cleric is actually not master. How did I miss that? So I upgraded him and still no pearl trade. Oh well, let's continue with my original plan. I traveled in the nether to a warped forest and created a platform 32 blocks from the path to spawn endermen. Then I spent the rest of the day gathering pearls. Day 64, I spent the whole day getting the last of the pearls I needed, getting a few extra so that if an eye falls into the void, I still have extra. Once all of them were collected, I headed back home and stored away the pearls. On day 65, it was time to brave the nether fortress. But first, what is this strange lag? It only lasted for a few seconds, but it was insane. With that strange performance issue gone, I headed to the nether fortress. Once there, I left the safety of the bunker and slowly made my way to one of the cross sections, using cobble to create a safe area on the path there, and gathered some blaze rods along the way. On day 66, I'm still here at the fortress trying to get at least 10 blaze rods. This was a tough task as there were enemies everywhere trying to hit me, and I was beginning to run low on food, so I had to quickly get these blaze rods before I completely ran out. I just barely got the final blaze rod, running out of food just as I left. On my way back home, I ran out of sprint, making this journey slow and painful. I really should have cooked more potatoes before going to the fortress. Finally getting back home, I did just that before sleeping through the night. Day 67, we are on our quest to reach the end age by making our 15 eyes of Ender. I threw the first eye to get a general sense of direction for the stronghold, losing the first eye to the void, but with that we can begin to make our way there. I finally ate some baked potatoes, filling up our hunger bar. Chop! Trade! Power 3 bow! This will be very useful for our fight with the dragon. I decided that using the nether to travel to our destination will be the best plan, so I gathered obsidian from both the abandoned nether portals we have looted so far. I have a bad sense of direction though, because I made the first portal to the stronghold by the Crimson Island, which obviously didn't work as the stronghold was northwest of home and the Crimson Island is southeast. Realizing I definitely needed more bridging blocks, I went back home to gather more materials. Day 68, I used the cobble I collected to start bridging northwest towards where the stronghold should be, trying to bridge to a location based off the trajectory of the eye. First portal in, and we didn't find the stronghold, but there's a jungle temple nearby, so I moved the nether side portal closer to the jungle temple. As it was approaching night, I decided it would be best to sleep before entering, so I went back home and skipped the night. Now it's day nice. Time to get back to this jungle temple. Inside, although I did activate the traps, there were no monsters inside. Looking in the chest, I got myself some armor trims and bamboo! No one type! I used the eye at the jungle temple to see what direction I needed to go, and began bridging in that direction to see if I could catch a glimpse of a stronghold in the distance. However, I ran out of cobble, so I headed back home. Cobble! I decided to fight the Ender Dragon in style, so I applied some armor trims to my diamond gear. Then, I headed back to the jungle temple, and continued to bridge a bit, creating a platform to safely throw the eye, before spotting my target destination. Day 70, and we have a stronghold. I used the nether to make a portal closer to the stronghold, and this portal was nearly perfect, only needing to bridge a few blocks before being able to make a water stream down to the portal room. Once down, I entered inside and quickly broke the silverfish spawner, and I'm glad I made the extra eyes because there were no eyes filled in the portal. I traveled towards the library room to see if I couldn't find some good enchanted books, and bam, an Unbreaking 3 book immediately, as well as some paper and regular books, good for enchants as well as rockets. Which reminds me that I do need some rockets before entering the outer end islands. I also got some new armor trims, so I headed back home really quick to apply them. Now that I'm fully dripped out, I headed back to the stronghold to prepare for the dragon fight and to enter the end age. Day 71, it is time to fight the Ender Dragon. But first, I do want to grab a few more blocks, so we're gonna head back to the base real quick. Cobble. Okay, enough delaying. It is time to light the portal and enter the end. Oh. That was scary. Oh, it's so safe in here. Here we go. There we go. It's one of them. Oh. There we go. Those ones are going to be harder to do. Oh, God. Oh, God. There we go. Oh, almost looked at that one. Okay. Oh geez, oh geez, oh geez, oh geez. Okay. Alright. This will make it easy to hit the other ones too. Is that all of them? Okay, that's all of them. Okay. It's time to actually hit him. Hit her, actually. Oh jeez. Oh jeez. I gotta eat. Okay, we're healed up. You're healed up. Oh, God. Oh, man, that was a good shot. Good shot, good shot. Yes! Woo! We did it! Oh, here we go. I got this this thing. Look at this. Whoa! 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 Oh my God, that's so hype. Oh my. Oh man. We did it. And I hit 100 levels on this world. Holy crap, 101. That looked dicey for a minute. But we did it. It's the end of the Ender Dragon. I did fail that water bucket clutch though. I'm not gonna lie. That was tragic. That was tragic. With that, the Ender Dragon is defeated. I grabbed the dragon egg and quickly slept through the night. I headed back to the base on day 72, creating a larger sugarcane farm so that we can produce a ton of rockets. I used some of the sugarcane to make a decent amount of rockets, at least enough to take me back home from end busting. With the rockets crafted, I headed back to the end and went through the first end gateway. And oh, I angered an enderman. Let's just despawn him. All right, now we should be good to start bridging out. Starting day 73, I traveled around a bit, trying to find an end city, also hoping for one with a ship so that we can immediately get an elytra. And with not that much travel, I found the first end city, and it has a ship! I immediately began pillaring to the ship, which was definitely a bit scary as it was sitting above the void. But come on, we've bridged above the void for 73 days, so this is nothing. I got to the ship, entered the elytra room first, killed the shulker inside, and reached the biggest stage of progression within the end age. getting an elytra. I tried doing some end busting, but my armor could not take enough of the shulker's projectiles, so I elected to sneakily grab the loot from the city and kill the shulkers outside, which are easier to evade. I got a total of 8 shulker shells, which isn't much, but should be enough, so I left the first city. Day 74, I'm still in the end trying to find another city. However, my elytra is quickly losing durability, so I decided it was time to head home. I'd got enough for now. Once back, I made an anvil and repaired my elytra a bit with some phantom membrane, also adding unbreaking 3 to it to allow us to fly for longer. Also thinking about it, using phantom membrane to repair elytra has some interesting lore implications. Were the phantoms originally from the end? Did the original people of the end steal phantom wings? Or is it something else? Let me know your theories in the comments. Now, I need some mending as well as silk touch, so let's extend our villager trading platform to make room for 2 librarians. After extending the platform, I went back to the stronghold to gather some bookshelves, as well as to the end to gather obsidian to make some ender chests. Once back home, I made 2 ender chests and placed one next to my bed. Then I organized my storage for a bit before heading to sleep. On day 75, I got the 2 villagers I needed to make into librarians, also chopping down some trees for sticks to trade with our Fletchers. I cycled through some librarian trades and got an okay mending trade. Don't really care to have a cheap one, especially since mending is such a powerful enchantment. I didn't have enough emeralds for the trade, so I traded some paper to lock it in. Next up was silk touch, and that is a good trade. I quickly traded some iron for emerald, getting both silk touch and mending. I put silk touch on the pickaxe as well as mending on the elytra. Whack! I healed up my elytra before taking down some of the crop farms to spread more grass. I then planted some cherry trees as I will need some for our final build. Then I put away the end city loot into storage before heading to sleep to skip the night. I needed some obsidian on day 76, so I went to the abandoned nether portal and poured some water over the lava, getting 4 obsidian, all to make ourselves an enchantment table. I wasn't exactly sure where to put it, and in fact, I was having trouble figuring out exactly where I wanted the final build and what exactly I needed for it. To think, I spent some time chopping trees, gathering dirt from the Sunflower Island north, and flew around the main base to find a good spot for the build. I decided to place the enchantment setup next to the mob farm, getting a really good boots enchant and a meh helmet enchant. On day 77, after taking a mini break to make a game plan, I finally had a full idea for the build. First, I will need a lot of cobblestone and dirt. I started by making a shulker box to start gathering the materials on hand for the final build. I then went to the nether to trade for gravel and quartz. And although I got a decent amount of gravel, I got no quartz. I put away the items gained from trading, then ran the gold farm for a bit to do some more trading, hopefully to get at least a couple quartz. And if you're wondering why I need quartz, it's because I'm making a cobblestone farm which uses a TNT duper which requires observers. I got a decent amount of gold on day 78, so I traded for a bit and got myself some quartz. I then ran in circles for a bit, getting distracted by a good Discord conversation. If you were wondering how I got to day 700 on my Forever World and still haven't beaten the dragon, here's why. On day 79, I realized I needed TNT, which means I need sand. So I traveled down south to maybe find some, where I found a shipwreck which had decent loot as well as a treasure map, which means sand. I immediately went to the not so buried treasure and not only got sand, but also some TNT. Don't even need to craft it. I also found some more lapis, which will be useful to re-enchant my armor, which is what I did as soon as I got home, getting some decent enchants. Cobble. I converted some of the gravel and dirt into coarse dirt, which effectively duplicates dirt. I used a shovel to turn the coarse dirt into path blocks that when picked up turns into regular dirt. After that, I began pulling together the resources required for the cobblestone farm. And on day 80, we got the last of the materials needed for the farm, creating a platform southeast of the tree platform to build it. And through the whole day and into the night, I worked on the cobblestone farm. With the cobblestone farm done, I tested to make sure it worked, and it did. I quickly deactivated it though because it was the end of the recording session and I didn't want it to break. Day 81, I started by harvesting some sugarcane for some rockets to put in my rocket shulker. Then, while chopping some trees, I ran the cobblestone generator. After chopping for a bit, I shut off the cobble farm and checked the progress. An average of 9 stacks per chest is not bad at all. As night fell, I reactivated the farm and let it run all night while I gathered wood for the final build. Once the sun rose on day 82, I shut off the cobblestone farm to see how much we got. Wow, almost a full shulker in each chest? That's not bad at all. I wanted to turn some of this cobble into regular stone, but I need a much better furnace system, so I extended the platform next to the villager trading area to place some furnaces on, which I will use to smelt the cobble. I then spent some time trading iron for emeralds, using them to buy some glowstone to light up the area. I then chopped another jungle tree, using the wood to convert into charcoal. Whack! mended the elytra. Once the charcoal was made, I took some cobble and started smelting it. With our new cobblestone farm up and running, I dismantled the CobbleGen 2.0, which got me through a big chunk of this playthrough. Day 83, I chopped down the birch trees, then realized I still haven't put away the loot from my previous exploration, so I put it all into storage, freeing up a shulker box to put the building materials for the final build. I then planted the one bamboo I got and used some bone meal to exponentially increase production. This will also be a resource needed for the final build. I also want some jungle leaves for this build, so I made myself a diamond hoe, putting silk touch on it, then chopped down a jungle tree, using the hoe to gather the leaves. I then smelted up 8 more stacks of cobblestone, organized shulker boxes for the final build, then gathered some sugarcane. Day 84 made some more rockets for the rocket box, and then chopped down another jungle tree, gathering more leaves in the process. I then made myself another shulker box so that I could put 8 key items for the final build. You see, the final build will be a trophy island of sorts, with a tree that I call the Tree of Trophies. That will house the items inside. These items will represent the ages of this Skyblock world. I dyed the box red to differentiate from the rest of the shulker boxes, then continued to collect wood for the final build, including the bamboo that finally grew. Day 85, I finally decided on a location for the Island of Trophies, south of the main base, which is still jungle, so we will have that bright green grass. I cooked up some potatoes for a bit, as I needed a lot of food because I wanted to go exploring. Down south, I found another jungle temple as well as a nether portal. Nether portal had pretty meh loot, and just as I was about to leave, I spotted a mangrove island. I kept note of it as I entered the jungle temple, which had some pretty good loot, including a diamond. I then spotted a desert island, and although I really didn't need much of the materials there, I grabbed the sand and cactus anyways. Maybe if a 200 days happens, we could put those to use. After that, I headed back to the mangrove island, secured some propagule, and chopped down the tree, leaving the roots because... nah. As I was leaving the mangrove island, I spotted a spruce island. This will be a good block to use on the Tree of Trophies. I could also use it to make more dirt, which would simply require some moss. I gathered all of the wood and got one sapling. I'm gonna want to make a fortune hoe as I do not want to lose spruce. As the sun was setting, I headed back to the main base, putting away the loot acquired into storage. I then decided to explore a bit more, finding a desert village, which was pretty cool. But I have a mission, so I looked for more shipwrecks. First one, terrible loot. Second one looked much better, but that is way too many mobs, so let's just wait until day. I waited until all the mobs despawned on day 86 before entering the ship, encountering a single zombie, and getting a decent amount of iron, gold, emerald, and lapis. Unfortunately, the map led to treasure I had already looted. I decided to head back home, but before I did... What the heck? Wait, what? It's just a random piece of... just a random jungle log. It's just here. There's nothing else. It's just a jungle log in the middle of the void. Yeah, that was weird, but with that strange discovery, I returned home, organized the loot into storage, then made another diamond hoe, enchanting it and getting fortune 2 as well as efficiency 4 and unbreaking 3. Not bad at all. I planted a spruce tree using the fortune hoe to harvest the leaves, getting 5 saplings, more than enough for a big tree. I chopped down the other cherry trees on the platform to make space for a big spruce tree. I then changed the trim on my chest plate, just because I felt like it, I guess. I then took the gold I got from exploring and took it to the nether to trade, hoping for some gravel. But I only got 20. I'm gonna need more than that. Going back home, I slept to skip the night. Waking up on day 87, I flew to a trial chamber to grab a single copper block for a brush. I will be going to another ocean in a colder biome for some gravel, and the structures in the ocean biome will have suspicious gravel, which may have some good loot. I then headed to the stronghold, which had cooler biomes nearby, which would mean the oceans close will have temples with gravel rather than sand. I immediately found an ocean temple, gathering some gravel as well as using the brush to get not great loot. I then found a shipwreck, which had moss. Now I won't need to get gravel. So I'm able to use the moss. I could spread it with stone, and then I could convert it into dirt by growing a big spruce tree, which converts it into podzol. I turn it to a dirt path, and then I turn it into farmland and then keep it dry so that it turns back into dirt. I found one last shipwreck which had a map that led to fresh treasure. Finding the buried treasure, I got a good amount of diamonds, then headed back to the stronghold and thought, let's see what's in these chests. I felt like I needed to get that chest, and I think that was a good instinct. Oh, even more. Man, so many diamonds. Why am I need to stop with this luck. People think I'm cheating. With that amazing discovery, I went back home, put away the loot, and prepared for the final build. First, I made more moss using stone, then used some of the azalea bushes to make trees, which means I have a source of oak wood. Then I used some of the gravel to duplicate at least some of the dirt. On day 88, I bone mealed some moss to get some more azalea bushes, then chopped down the azalea trees as well as the big spruce tree, using the fortune hoe to harvest the leaves. I used some of the logs to make more charcoal, then harvested some bamboo. I wanted a bit more space space in the central area, so I broke the original chest provided to us on day 1 to make space for some more bamboo. I chopped down some more trees before noticing it was incredibly dark on the lower platform for some reason. Let's fix that with a bit of glowstone. I then began work on the island of trophies by making a temporary slab bridge to the location. Starting day 89, I made a mini platform to place the shulker boxes. Now ready for the final stretch, I began building the frame of the island. Once the sun set, I was ready to start filling the underside of the island. And as the sun rose on day 90, I finished filling in the underside of the island. I began adding the dirt to the island, and once I ran out, began placing moss. Once that ran out, I decided to place stone using bone meal to convert it into moss. However, that would spawn way too much foliage for right now, so I spent the night breaking all of the foliage until the sun rose. It is the final stretch! Day 91, I chopped down one more spruce tree using the saplings to plant on the island, making 2x2 trees that will convert the moss into podzol. Once enough were planted to completely cover the island in podzol, I chopped down the trees until the sun came up. Once the trees were all chopped on day 92, I began the conversion of the podzol by turning it into paths, placing a single piece of grass in the middle to spread once it's all dirt. Once that step was done, I then turned the paths into farmland, which will become dirt automatically as the entire area is dry. As the grass spread, I took a couple to different ends of the island to have it cover more area at once. I then broke the temporary bridge to the new island. I gathered some bamboo really quick before beginning construction on the Tree of Trophies, a custom tree which will house the items from the red shulker. I spent all of day 92 and 93 on this tree, so here is a time lapse. Tree done on day 94, I began adding some foliage and flowers to decorate the island. Also adding some bamboo, which I feel really fill in the vertical aspect of this island, if that makes sense. I then made a little stone path leading to the entrance of the Tree of Trophies, also making a few modifications to the branches to get the tree perfect. And as the sun set, I began to work on the Room of Trophies, using a bunch of different wood types I gained throughout this journey. I wanted to use mangrove on the back wall, but I didn't have enough, so I made my only mangrove tree. Honestly, I don't know how Marm didn't lose her mind with this as her only wood type. Respect, but never doing that again. With the mangrove tree fully chopped down on day 95, I finished up the Room of Trophies, placing the box of trophies inside to put together when I hit day 100. I then slept through the night as I really didn't need all that extra time. We were almost done. Day 96, I felt like hitting something, so I did one last trial chamber run. Went inside, I hit up a few areas before getting an ominous bottle, and decided, screw it. with a ton of loot in tow, but no hammer, unfortunately. I realized on day 98 that my armor took a lot of damage, so I headed back home, where I spent some time trading for mending books for my armor, also re-enchanting my chestplate and got protection 4. Whack! I healed up all my armor, then added the flow armor trim that I got from that trial chamber run to my helmet. I then spent some time adding some of the saplings I acquired throughout this playthrough around the path to the tree of trophies, using string to stop them from actually growing. Day 99, we are almost there. I gathered some armor and armor stands to display in the room of trophies, each armor set representing progression in the world. Gold for the wooden age, chainmail for the villager age, iron for the iron age, and I think you get the picture. After placing the armor in the room of trophies, I took a screenshot which may or may not be the thumbnail of this video. I do ABC testing for thumbnails using YouTube's test and compare feature, so let me know in the comments below which one you got. I then got a message from my friend Kale Hamron.
Oh yeah, we getting pizza tonight. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I decided there were too many villagers in the breeder, so I shut off the farm and decided to blow them up.
Oh shoot.
That did not go well. I patched up the collection chamber before making myself a jukebox to put into the room of trophies, so we can listen to some tunes to celebrate. I then slept through the night into the final day. Day 100, we did it! I began the day by listening to some music. Once I got that out of my system, I decided to name the items to represent each age of this journey. I did forget one though. Do this, bam, bam, bam. Totally forgot that the ominous bottle was part of this. Oops. Nether age, diamond age, and age. Once that issue was resolved, I placed the dragon egg, but decided it needed something to sit on. So I found a purple pillar. Say that 10 times fast. Purple pillar, purple pillar, and placed the dragon egg on top of that. And as night fell, I played the best music disc in Minecraft to send us off. And that was 100 days of Skyblock Infinite. We managed to get quite a lot done, and the Island of Trophies really shows that. But now we are ready for Skyblock Kingdoms. I don't know if I will be returning to this world, but I will give you all a goal. If you want to see 200 days of this world, please give this video a like. I'm gonna go big and say if this video gets 1,000 likes, there may be a 200 days video in the future. But that's gonna be it for today. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more, consider subscribing. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. See you next time.
Perfect. You are now ready. Ready for SBK-2. For whatever reason, I still cannot go. But you must prepare them for my arrival.